It's 1:13 in the morning, 6/15/2021 on this Monday. I'm pretty tired, but I'm also weary of having to come back on here again, make another admonition. And I think things are just going to get worse. That's what I'm being told in my spirit. I'll get to that in a second, but there's two very important verses that I want to read, and also I'll leave it in the description for you to ruminate over and think about. That seem to clearly show that Jesus was present and involved in Old Testament believers and showed himself to them and spoke to them audibly and also through his prophets, whom he sent his words through. And the reason why I'm stating them and just leaving it in the description is because I sort of intended to come on and do two different videos, one on each of these verses, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So at least you'll have the verses to think about and ponder over and seriously consider. Then after that, I just want to tell a quick story of something I saw today and came upon of prophetic significance, showing that the time seems very short of what things that are happening and progressing with this vaccine and restrictions. All right. Then also I might end by telling the story of how I came upon the information for the second verse I'm going to read, and how I seemed to be led to this and shown, and kept digging and digging and digging until I found what I felt I was looking for, I was being led to. So I'm just sighing here because I take no pleasure in doing this. It's getting, disgusting me again. I don't want to read this, all right? I got distracted also because I'm very tired. So I don't know if I read the verses, but if I read it, I'm going to read them. If I read whatever, I may have reading them twice. I don't know. But the first one is John 8:56, and it says, Jesus said, "Your father Abraham rejoiced that he would see my day. He saw it and was glad." So think about that. I'm not even going to take the time here to even talk about it. And the second one was, "I sent unto you my servants, the prophets, whom ye have taken and slain, and torn their bodies in pieces, whose blood I will require of your hands, saith the Lord." I don't know, I might just have to do this video over because I got distracted again. And again, I'm too weary and not thinking straight here. So if I read this twice, I don't know if I read this one, the second one, but I'll read it again if I didn't, whatever. It's Luke 11:49. "I sent unto you my servants, the prophets, whom you have taken and slain, and torn their bodies in pieces, whose blood I will require of your hands, saith the Lord." Yeah, I think I did read it. And that was, of course, Jesus talking to the Pharisees when he got angry at them. And that's not the translation you'll hear in any other Bible. But it has to do with, like what I said, what I feel I was led to see. And that seems like what the translation really is. I kind of came on here preemptively and said it because I still have to see, what's accurate or not. But that seems like what it means. If that's the case, again, if Jesus sent his prophets, then he was the one who sent them in the past through the Old Testament prophets. Well, I think that regardless, if that's the exact right interpretation, if it's the original that we're so familiar with, that I am sending unto you, that doesn't make sense, but I can't get into this here. But that verse, the way it is normally, it seems like he's talking about the future that he'll send these others. But even if that's true, he was still there, because God and he are one God. And, he said, I and my Father are one. So I'm not going to take time to say any, really much more than that about that, because it's going to take too long. I don't want to make this long. So anyway, you cut the cake or look at it, I see it that you can't get out of the fact that Jesus was there, and he and his Father revealed himself again. Like I said about Abraham, Jesus was there, not in the name Jesus, not in the body, form that we think of a person being born. And I don't want to get into all this right here, but I mean, Jesus existed. He was there. He was a part of all that was going on because he's God. We don't seem to look at it that way. That he was actively there himself, involved in all of this, whether it was Moses, Abraham, or anyone else, any prophet. In Revelation, I'm not going to state it correctly probably, but it says that Jesus Christ is the spirit of prophecy. I mean, is he the spirit of prophecy just in the quote-unquote New Testament, or is he the spirit of prophecy, period? If that's true, which it is, then his spirit of prophecy prophesied through everyone who ever prophesied. So I'm forced to get this over with. I'm delaying because, like I said, I don't want to say this. You know what? I decided I'm not. I'm going to wait on this, and if I should say it whenever, I will. I want to see what's going on, how things develop. But the thing that I will say is that I sense is that the devil is trying to drive a wedge between believers, in relating to what I'm saying, to the videos I'm doing. I'll just leave it at that right now. I mean, I could tell you stories. I was even thinking maybe I should come on here some other time and do a video about this, of my experiences where, unfortunately, and not as some exception that occurs, just a few times. It's very common. It's happened to me over and over since I first became a believer. Right off the bat, I've seen it with me. I've seen it with others, that the devil used other believers, as crazy as and tragic as it is, against other believers. So the only thing I want to say with regard to that warning, for this second, is that it seems to me that the situation with me doing videos here and the reactions and so on, I think I'm being told that this is just going to get worse, and I'm just kind of warning other believers, to look out for that, and that's probably what's about to come to pass. And there's a third verse that I feel I need to read that was spoken to me like over a week ago. It really smacked into me. I wasn't even really thinking about anything, and this verse came flying at me like almost like it was yelled into my spirit, almost like I heard it. And I'm just going to say it because I felt like maybe I had to, needed, was supposed to say it like over 10 days ago or whatever. And it's Paul's words, not my words. He said, I would not suffer a woman to teach nor to usurp authority over a man. I'm just going to leave it there. That's what was spoken to me. All right, I did the three verses. I remembered to say that one. The two quick stories. One is very prophetic that happened to me today. I mean, my internet goes in and out, but luckily right up the corner, the street at the clubhouse of where I live, you could go there and go outside. I take this chair that's out there and I sit there and I take my laptop and I go up there and I get strong signal whenever I need to. Anyway, it was, towards the end of the day, getting a little dark, and I saw that the lights were on in the building. They're never on because the building's been permanently closed. I couldn't even do my laundry. That's another story. I have no way of getting anywhere. It's like 7 miles to a laundromat, but I'm doing it by hand. But anyway, yeah, because I have no car. Forgot to mention that. And I haven't had a car for about 4 or 5 years. But don't you hate these long introductions when you want to say, get it over with? I don't want to hear all this stuff. But so I walked around the side of the building, and there was the doors with like glass windows you could look in, and there was the elders, old people, playing cards, and I'm like, what? With the lights on, and then I saw the sign on the door that said, well, before it said, always said, this building is completely closed. You do not enter. But this sign said, the fully vaccinated can use this building or something like that. But I was like, whoa, or only the fully vaccinated can enter here. And they were all in there and they were all vaccinated. So it really hit me, at the point that things are at. Actually, there's another story that'll take about a minute that relates to this. Things are moving swiftly and rapidly, closing in on freedom of being able to do anything without this thingamajigger and shoved inside of you. Because I just remember, was it yesterday I saw this video? I didn't even see it. I just read it. But it was about someone who had a dream, and the dream that she, of being in Walmart, and you couldn't buy anything unless you filled out this form stating that you, with your information, stating that you had the vaccine and could prove it. And there was this desk or something in the middle of the store that you had to go to first to check in. And the requirement was that if you got what inside in your arm, then and signed the form and proved that, then you had to state whether you wanted to sign up for bi-weekly or monthly pickup of groceries, limited to whatever it was limited to. And I think that's pretty revealing, if that's, accurate dream there, And I'm sure that whoever isn't, that they'll have a station set up right alongside conveniently, hop right over here, fella, or woman, you could be all set, and we'll deal with that, and then you could go sign up and you'll be fully vaccinated. Now, I don't watch any news whatsoever. I don't even know what the heck is going on, really. I mean, I basically have had and have my fill of that. I know what's going on, what's going to happen prophetically, and just waiting, But it's becoming more and more strengthened and enforced in, whatever you can do or not. And like I say, seeing that today was very prophetic. Seeing those people in there and realizing that they were, fully blanked. And I've often wondered if like 80 or more percent of people, probably more than that percent, have had that happen to them. And I think about all the people I live around here. And so like 8 out of 10 of them have had this happen to them. I don't bother with anyone, but I stay to myself, and pretty much you don't see anyone around here. But I really haven't heard or seen anything about any side effects. Although what's said is that will be likely delayed, and if that sets in, then it will become apparent. That's what apparently is being said. Anyway, yeah, and about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had a message on my phone, which I never use. It's shut off like 98.9% of the time. But it was some agency, government agency, telling me they'd like to speak to me about the E, So far, things have been okay. I haven't had any contact or whatever. I mean, what do they think I'm going to do? Say, come on over. I got a pot of coffee waiting for you, Sit down, we'll talk this thing over. Anyway, and the other story I was going to say, I'm not even going to say it, because if I do a video, I do. If I don't, I don't. But to me, it was a very fascinating journey. Last night really seemed like I was digging like for gold, looking for this, like I was almost being told, keep going, keep going. That's not the way the verse is said, keep going. And it shows the type of meanings that I've been trying to impress and show that I think are true about verses that speak of things like um, of the Old Testament that aren't really known, that show Jesus was there. Faith was there. Faith was then. Jesus wasn't somewhere else. He was directly involved. And since he's God, they were interacting with him. He was the one there. But I will say, and this is important, because like I've been saying about all these different different interpretations through the ages, and all the different translations, from Greek to Latin to English to German, blah, blah, blah. I should have started with Hebrew, but anyway, really it's been that way with me about verses. When I read something and I just shake my head, it's like something's wrong here. It's like in my spirit, that can't be what it says. And then I have to dig and look into all interpretations and all kinds of stuff. And then I finally find what I'm looking for, and I say, that's it. That's what it said, right? That's what it really means. So it's almost like God's Spirit, Jesus, is telling me, no, that's not what it says. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. That can't be what it says. And then sure enough, if I dig deep enough, I find it. Last night I was really amazed of all the stuff and how I came across that. But, like the verse I keep quoting, we are saved by grace. Well, what I had dug out of the dungeon long ago, a couple of years ago, which I've mentioned in those videos, and I've mentioned recently every much as I can, where the correct interpretation of that, and I'll say it again, I don't know if you're sick of it, hopefully not, why would you want to be, we're saved by grace, and the interpretation that it literally from long ago, that it was exactly by the faith of Christ, we're saved by grace by the faith of Christ, and that faith is not of ourselves. It's the gift of God, not that any man should boast. I'm pretty tired. I'm getting kind of giddy here. I'm losing track of time, and I've been blabbing on here, but I just thought I'd throw this in. I used to do some videos about health, but I've been using these two products. One is called AutoZap 5, and you could go to the site Best Zapper, Zapper, and then .what. And if you're interested in looking at that, I could definitely feel the difference. And you could see what that's all about. I'm not going to go into that here. Then there's the Zappicator that goes with it. Could use both. And also this product called Earth Calm. And it's like this device. You plug it in. That's all you do. You plug it in your outlet in the outlet. Plug it right in. It doesn't emit electric. It doesn't, but it neutralizes all the incoming energy or whatever, electromagnet. But the main thing it does is it neutralizes the AC current, and it's really fascinating because how the AC current is constantly draining on your nervous system. This thing cancels it out and makes it like, if you were walking barefoot, the way things normally should be, without all these energy fields and so on disrupting you and causing all kinds of things to go on in your body. I could definitely feel that too. I have to plug it and unplug it because I could definitely feel the calmness and the difference. And sometimes it's, kind of strong, but you get used to it. I have the old-fashioned one, which I'd rather have because the new one has like 3 stages. You got to do this, that, and the other thing. So I'm totally satisfied with this. It's a white one with like 2 binocular-looking things on it. If you search for it, it's pretty expensive items, but I got one cheap on eBay, like really cheap. Whoa! I didn't have it running, but can you hear that? I could feel it in my seat, the rumbling, lightning. Anyway. You hear it? Maybe you can't. Oh yeah, I guess one final thing is regarding anyone wanting to, you see my video or take my videos and put it on their site. as long as that's done with the correct intent and it doesn't further cause further contention or sort of pit me against someone else, in a insincere way, with really no intention to support what I'm saying or the teachings or so on, then that's not something I support and would want my video on anyone's channel who's doing that, if that is the case. So anyway, think about those verses, if you will, all three of them, but especially the first two concerning Jesus. I'll read it again. Take 2 seconds. John 8:56. Jesus said, "Your father Abraham rejoiced that he would see my day. He saw it and was glad." So think about that. And the other one is, and I'm going to read it this way. It's not the original, but Jesus speaking, and this could be he was speaking prophetically relating to past scripture. I'm not going to get into that here. I'm not, but anyway, it seems like what he was saying is that he was the one who sent his prophets, who they slain and did so on to in the past, the Old Testament prophets. But I'd have to put that all together and really be sure and look at that and come on and do that. But it might not be necessary. I mean, you have the basic idea. And like I say, regardless, Jesus was there, even though most people can't conceive of that, because all we can conceive is, well, someone was born, so then they exist from that time on. But, like I said, Jesus was given many different names in the Old Testament of he who was to come. And God the Father has many, many different names that he's referred to in the Bible. There's just a lot of things we can't wrap our mind around, like and Jesus said, "I and the Father are one, but yet they're two." So it's, and Jesus was asked, "Show us the Father." And his answer was, "Have you not been with me all this time, yet you still, do not know me?" So there's so many things that with our comprehension, a lot of inconsistencies and contradictions. But again, Jesus wasn't off somewhere taking a vacation during the, Old Testament. He is together. Try to understand all this. It's mind-boggling. He is God. He and God are one, but yet they're separate. But without a doubt, Jesus was there throughout all of history, and everything that happened with when you. But we kind of feel like, well, whatever, that Jesus wasn't around. He wasn't around in those days. Only God the Father was, and until he physically took a body, then, in our minds, he wasn't there. He wasn't around. We know that he existed forever, but it's like it's hard for a human to conceive that. So in our mind, it's like, how could anything apply to him in the Old Testament? That's just the way we think humanly. Like the verses that I talked about yesterday in the video about Jesus had more than 12 disciples, and how the scripture, those were talking to him were different disciples than the 12 disciples he was talking to, who departed from him. And then in Luke chapter 10, Jesus appointed another 70 also, and sent them two and two before his face into every city. It says, and to preach the gospel, heal the sick, and perform miracles, and so on. So there were 70 right there that he sent out. They were his disciples, and he told them to heal the sick and preach the good news. And so again, it didn't take for Paul to get a special revelation for the true gospel and salvation to kick into effect. Absolutely not. I mean, others who believe that they just must, I hate to put it this way, that they're just blind. How else can I put it? Absolutely blind to the scripture and the truth. I'll have to go back and see if I'm even going to put up this video. It was kind of a hatchet job experience here, but again, one final admonition: don't let the evil one get a foothold, thinking that we're doing something right, being led by God, even though we think it's the truth. But we might be being deceived, like I've seen over and over, as I said, since I became a believer. Unfortunately, it was common, a common thing I saw, and that happened to me. I could sort of sense it coming a mile away. Really, it's the spirit behind things that's going on, regardless of the actual events that it might seem to have to do with. So again, I don't expect that to change. So I'll end that here, and that's pretty much what I had to say. That was one of the very main things that I had to say. I never said what I had planned, so I'm just going to wait and see what occurs. I hope we're out of here any second, really. To see those people sitting down playing cards with that sign up that you can't come in here unless you're fully vaccinated. They're like nothing, playing cards after that was done to them, not realizing what was put into them. It is really like the Twilight Zone. Crazy. All right, talk to you hopefully in the sky. Goodbye.